Hello there, it's Tania Gabrielle here, Wealth Astro-Numerologist. Welcome to Star Codes, where today we are going to cover the Sagittarius total lunar eclipse. That's a full moon eclipse. So we're entering eclipse season again. This is the first of two eclipses coming up. The Sagittarius eclipse is on May 26th at 12:14 p.m. Universal Time, and that is 7:14 a.m. Eastern Time, New York, 4:14 a.m. Pacific Time, LA. So this is really a big deal because Sagittarius, of course, is the sign of truth, the sign that Jupiter rules. And the quest for truth is very strong in the 21st century. And that is because 21 resonates to truth and joy. So the whole century is set up to really set us free so we can embrace the truth. And Sagittarius is a sign filled with optimism and faith and greater peace of mind and wisdom, spirituality, positive expectations, positive outcomes, and growth, expansion. So you are actively seeking solutions because under Sagittarius, which governs higher education, we like to learn, we like to grow. So the lunar nodes entered Sagittarius and Gemini a while back. And so that's why most of the eclipses now are taking place in those two mutable signs. Mutable signs are about change. They're not about consistency or grounding. They are about going with the flow and learning to do that. And so as it happens, 2021 is a 5 universal year, which is also very much about change and going with the flow. And this total eclipse, this full moon eclipse, takes place at 5 degrees in Sagittarius. And of course, the sun is in Gemini opposite the moon. So we have a lot of 5 energy and mutable energy, which is asking us to step up and be free to just explore and not stick to old routines, and also pay attention to what brings us a feeling of fortunate, feeling good, feeling abundant, feeling well, feeling filled with wisdom and a sense of discovery and sensing fortunate outcomes and really trusting that those fortunate outcomes will happen. So Sagittarius activates all of those things. And Jupiter, the ruling planet of Sagittarius, plays a big role in this eclipse as well. Not only because it is the planet that rules the eclipse, but it is forming a T-square to the sun and moon. And so the ruler of the eclipse is literally creating a powerful aspect, the most dynamic one there is, which is a T-square, which is where the sun squares Jupiter and the moon opposite the sun also squares Jupiter. So this will activate those fortunate outcomes even more, that expansion, that sense of opportunity, abundance, financial flow, luck, feeling lucky. So it's really an incredible moment that we've come to at the end of May. And just to be clear, whereas lunations have a month-long impact, full moon, new moon, eclipses have a 6-month-long impact because they are 6 months apart. So when we have this kind of dynamic connection to Jupiter, ruler Sagittarius, total lunar eclipse, this is a big deal, and it will really be a wonderful change of events coming up in terms of the energetic forecast for how you feel about your life and how you just will have a more positive perspective and outlook. So the moon square Jupiter, part of this T-square, really allows you to balance that love with a sense of happiness, freedom, wisdom, kindness, and generosity. You just feel recognized at soul level with this aspect. And then the sun square Jupiter is very much about feeling healthy and happy and strong and activating a positive energy flow and expressing yourself with exuberance and being able to just allow optimism to carry you through the day. So be sure you stay focused and disciplined and do things in moderation, because sometimes with Jupiter being also the ruler and in aspect to the sun and moon, we can go overboard. We can do too much of whatever, a good thing or a bad thing. So focus on one project at a time to make the most of this incredible transit. And also guard against overspending, because, with Jupiter, because it's all about expansion, you can overdo things. You can overeat. You can do many things because of a sense of growth, right? So the other important part of this eclipse is that Jupiter is in the midst of slowing down to go retrograde in its own sign of Gemini. And at the end of May, it will literally, a couple days after this eclipse, station, meaning slow, like come to a halt, and then turn retrograde. So Mercury is, of course, where Mercury is the rule of Gemini, where the sun is opposite the moon in Sagittarius. So Mercury is having a powerful impact due to that, because it's slowing down and it is the ruler of the sign where the sun is for the eclipse, but also because Mercury right now during the eclipse is conjunct to Venus. And Venus is very much continuing that same message of Jupiter, which is the abundance, the pleasure. And it includes, of course, love and looking at what you truly value. So there's lots of energy right now focused on being abundant, focused on well-being, on prosperity, on having a good relationship to what it means to feel well, to feel healthy, to feel good, to feel wealthy. The origin of the word wealth is well-being. So a sense of well-being is the way you attract abundance, whatever abundance means to you. Now, there are a couple other aspects that are formed during this eclipse, and sorry about the sun. It is the evening here, and it just happens to be in a place where it's shining into my eye. Mars, which is in Cancer now, is trine to Neptune. So this is an activation of Mars in Cancer. Cancer is a water sign. Neptune is in its own sign of Pisces, which is also a water sign. And a trine is a very harmonious connection. So that means to trust that there's plenty for you, to learn that everything comes, that passion that you feel from Mars, which is in Cancer, comes from love, from coming home to yourself. And then Chiron is sextile to Saturn, and I love this because it continues the healing process that Chiron is really moving through in the sign of Aries, where it entered recently. And it's the first time we're experiencing Chiron in Aries since its discovery in 1977. So new ways of healing, new protocols for healing, new alternative healing. Obviously, there's major health situations we're involved with right now, and they're helping us to also make decisions about healing and health, and that's what Chiron governs. And so the Aries factor with Chiron is the newness, brings the newness and the taking a risk and going a new way. And so this sextile to Saturn helps you to feel secure about your decisions without going to extremes. So it allows you to feel natural. Saturn is an earthy planet, and Saturn is the teacher. Saturn puts you to work. It gets you to attend to your responsibilities. It's very grounded, so it takes care of them. So it creates that security in your life, and while Chiron opens up your heart to receive healing through love. So those are wonderful too, that are actually taking place during this eclipse. Now Sagittarius, where the moon is during the eclipse, of course, is the sign that governs religion, wisdom, philosophy, and thus your beliefs. And the cornerstone, of course, of feeling free in any society is the freedom to believe what you wish, as long as those beliefs don't result in actions that will harm others. In other words, your freedom to believe must be completely extended to others as long as their beliefs don't harm others either. So you're even free to believe something that is not true, a lie, as long as those lies don't harm anyone, right? And when you go to wisdom, which is another category that Sagittarius governs, wise teachings. Wise teachings are not about beliefs. They're not about rules. Follow this rule, go down this road and believe that. They're about living as love and living as peace. And the teachings that serve that goal, serving love, serving peace, are in service to the greater good. They do not harm anyone. And any belief that doesn't serve love or peace doesn't serve you or me or humanity or the universe or God, right? It doesn't serve life. So any belief, in other words, that separates you from others, that causes you to judge or feel superior to others, is divisive. Those who are enlightened, like the supposed founders of these religions, never saw themselves as above others or below, or others below others, right? But equal to. And that means they weren't separate. There was no sense of separation. There was a sense of we are all in this together, and everyone serves a role, and no role is more important than the other. And these enlightened beings, they recognize that there's no need for a go-between. There's no need for a translator or a priest or a mediator to reach source, to reach God. There is only direct communication that is pure. And they all are in direct communication, or were in direct communication with spirit. And of course, so can you, so can me. So God source is available to anyone, anywhere in the world, at any time. And the ego is what creates hierarchies and separation. So why does the ego do this? Because the ego's goal is to elevate itself in the eyes of others through competition and control. And what better way to do that than to have an organization that gives power to some so they have power over others? Makes it super easy, right? You don't even have to question it because, hey, it's in the rules. It is already set in stone. You're growing up with that belief that others are better, or, you have to, or go-betweens between you and God, whatever the case may be. The other thing is that throughout the ages, those egos on top of the hierarchy have both determined and controlled what it is to be believed and what it is not to be believed. And that goes for, again, all those strata of society that we know: religion, academia, health, government, culture, etc. And that is really the greatest power overall, because if you can control what people believe, you can control them. And of course, going back to religion, which Sagittarius governs, religion is an attempt to live a life of love and peace. And that yearning for love and peace really comes from a good place, right? That is what the basis of religion is built on. But the ego's idea of how to do this is then skewed, and then rules are created. Gaining approval from others is important in order to fit in. How can they then understand the enlightened consciousness, the consciousness that is not separate and not judgmental? And it always comes back to love. You come from love. You're meant to return to love, which is your natural state. It's our natural state. It's the state of loving acceptance, being at peace with life, not interfering with others, embracing life for what it is with love and appreciation. And in our hearts, that's all we want. Our compass, the inner compass that we have, continually points us in this direction, even despite our egoic desires and misunderstandings that we have. So it's really the ego that slows down that connection and that process and undermines this spiritual, loving understanding of creating some progress for society. So considering that nearly every thought that comes into our minds is based on a belief or believing in a set of beliefs, even the desires we have then are based on the need, on the belief that we need something. The desires themselves, for whatever reason, we believe we need something. That is a belief. Without that belief that you need it, you wouldn't have a reason to desire it. You would just do something with no belief, driving whatever it is that is naturally inspired, just as simple doing it for the sake of doing it, because it arises in you, an energy of inspiration arises within you, and you do it. And there's no believing anything. And that's really a state of being in the flow or enlightenment. And so it's not to discard your beliefs, but to be aware of them, because we all have them, but we need to gain discernment to distinguish between the ones that are actually true and serve us for our highest good, and those that are not true and are harmful and don't serve us, right? So the happiness and fulfillment, in case success, that is very much part of Sagittarius, it's dependent on how true the beliefs that you hold actually are. Most people don't examine the beliefs that they hold true in order to discover whether they actually are worth keeping. And so they carry around, very unhelpful beliefs. They blindly believe them without questioning them. And really that is the issue, because the most difficult beliefs contain some truth and some lies. I'm sure you've heard this, and that's what makes them believable, because, hey, there's partly a truth in the belief, so that must mean the whole enchilada is good. Well, that is not true, because untrue beliefs then that are based on both lies and truth, that doesn't make them true. They become self-fulfilling prophecies, which happens with so many beliefs. And that's why so many go unquestioned, because self-fulfilling prophecy is, see, I told you so. Isn't it true? Well, actually, no. It's just that you believed it, and so it manifested itself in your life. So we don't have to think of these lies mixed with truth as intentional lies, because people usually don't do that. They misunderstand something, they pass on the misunderstanding, and we all get programmed in this way to believe others and to believe our own thoughts until we realize we need to question them, right? And that moment has come. This eclipse is an important moment to start questioning, because if you don't like how something that is being said or something that you're reading, for example, makes you feel, and this includes also how others treat you, then you might want to ask yourself some questions. What am I believing about myself or this person or this situation that is not really aligned, that doesn't resonate with me? What negative or untrue things am I believing at this moment? And what role are my beliefs playing in enabling this moment actually to happen? So it's really the beliefs we have that are in response to situations that will make the situation either better or worse. And beliefs determine the experience of a situation, and they also determine the situation itself. So you always control that. You always control the attitude, how you perceive, how you relate to the circumstances. And what you believe has everything to do with how you feel. It has everything to do with how you respond to life and respond to others. And as a consequence, how life and others respond to you. So what you believe is incredibly important for that reason. And we're here to learn to be happy and at peace with circumstances that life brings us. And that's really the challenge. We need to align with the truth and not fall prey to lies during any challenges that we go through. And this will make us so confident. This will make us in charge and not be the victim. And so this message of the Sagittarius total full moon eclipse and the Jupiter T-square to the sun and moon, Jupiter being the ruler of Sagittarius, Sagittarius being the sign of higher learning and wisdom, is that life is a school. There is a design to life. Life has a purpose. It is designed and guided by loving forces. Your life is purposeful and divinely guided. and you are a unique expression of God, of the divine. So there is a wisdom, there is a divine intelligence behind life, and this divine intelligence is absolutely benevolent. And so Sagittarius is asking you to feel the blessings and appreciate everything that appears in your life. Be in direct communication with Spirit. God, Source, those loving forces, they're available to you and anyone at any time. No need for a go-between to ask permission to learn. You don't have to learn anything. It's always been there, always will be. And Sagittarius gives you that sense of total expansiveness where you are connected to everything in a joyful way and a very productive, positive way as well. So enjoy this eclipse. Make it a wonderful time to really look at what it is you believe. And also get in touch with who you are at soul level, because that's what will happen when you strip down the false beliefs. You get in touch with your soul. And one really wonderful and quick way to do that is to discover the meaning of your birthday and your birth name, which you can do in this free masterclass at starcodeclass.com. All you need is your birthday, birth certificate name, your time of birth, and your place of birth, and we can go deeply into your soul code, the map of your life in this lifetime. So enjoy that free masterclass at starcodeclass.com. Have a wonderful eclipse, and I will see you in next week's Star Codes podcast. Lots of love.